Whatever your friend changes out there, magically updates in here. Introducing the Pomprey with linked contacts.
This is a truly fascinating question about a deeply serious epidemic making headlines around the world. A French cardiologist says he thinks he may have found a cure to addiction in some people. It can help other people. In fact, he says he cured his own addiction by taking what is really a muscle relaxant pill. His story is being told in America for the first time in a brand new book called The End of My Addiction. There are an estimated 12 million Americans addicted to alcohol, many trying to break addiction through 12-step programs like Alcoholics Anonymous. But the average alcoholic relapses 7 times. Dr. Olivier Ameisen is no stranger to the cravings that derail so many people on the road to recovery. But in his new book, The End of My Addiction, Ameisen tells how he finally overcame a decade-long addiction to alcohol thanks to a drug called baclofen. It is normally used as a muscle relaxant. Dr. Ameisen claims that it curbed the agitation, the cravings that alcoholics experience from withdrawal symptoms. In fact, it was so successful, he says, he can even handle a drink without fear of the cravings which cause alcoholics to relapse. But not everyone in the medical community is convinced.
Baclofen is a medication that affects the chemistry in the brain. It reduces anxiety dramatically. When you stop alcohol or cause problems, you can't sleep, you're restless, you're nervous. And so we think that baclofen affects these systems in a way to counteract some of those negative effects.
Dr. James Garbutt with the Center for Alcohol Studies at the University of North Carolina conducted the most recent U.S. study on treating alcoholics with baclofen and found it's not a silver bullet.
We have several medications to treat alcoholism, and we're developing new medicines all the time. So we don't think any single medicine is going to be the answer to treat alcoholism.
Nonetheless, there are studies underway in Europe and the U.S. to determine whether baclofen can do for others what Dr. Ameisen claims it did for him. And he joins us now, Dr. Olivier Ameisen, who is the author of The End of My Addiction, a book which is causing this stir right now, and it's great to have you here.
Thank you, Dan.
I think people first want to know, how serious was your addiction? You were a binge drinker. What kind of binge drinker? What were the effects?
I became from social drinker, I became a hopeless alcoholic. I was going to ERs, detox rehabs. I nearly died.
Blackouts?
Blackouts, constant blackout, breaking bones. It was
Falling?
a horror, and my doctors were telling me I'm going to die. And I knew that was going to happen. And when I went to rehab, I just relapsed the day where I came back from relapse. And that's because of overwhelming craving, which are known to be the reason for which people relapse, and 90% of the patients
and
relapse.
I know you quit your practice because of it, because you were so concerned for the patients.
Exactly.
So, you hear about this drug, New York Times article, I believe you read about it. You take it. What's the first thing that happens? What's the first change?
First change, as Dr. Garbutt pointed actually, what it first does is make you feel good, take away the anxiety, give you a feeling of self-esteem which alcoholics do not have, and a feeling of well-being, and that was new to me. I slept like a baby. The only problem is I was taking the same dosage as Dr. Garbutt indicated, which was low dose, 30 milligrams, and then that even went up on the dose, but the thing is, I still had overwhelming craving and relapsed.
So when you increased the dose, did the craving stop?
Unfortunately not. And then when I was desperate and knew I was going to die, I went on the internet and found one study from 1997 that showed that rats that were addicted to cocaine, or actually to alcohol or other drugs, when given baclofen at low dose, were basically continuing to see cocaine. When you gave them a higher dose, they simply stopped and they were no longer interested in it.
And when you got your dose high enough, is that what happened? You just were not interested? Did you take some drinks and try?
I couldn't believe what happened to me. I was told never will that happen. Craving completely stopped. I felt great, and I felt like I never had felt before, and that was 5 years ago. I haven't felt craving since then. Only if I reduce baclofen would have craving.
So you've been on this for 5 years. Side effects? Are there any
None.
risk factors?
No. At the beginning, a bit of sleepiness, as with medications like any drug that is used for blood pressure or anything can give you some sleepiness, but that's very benign and disappears very rapidly. No side effects for me whatsoever.
So you plan to take it for the rest of your life?
I'd say probably. So it's been 5 years already.
But let me ask you about those who challenge this and who say, wait a minute, can't be a pill that does this. And one doctor said baclofen has shown the potential to help reduce alcohol cravings, but it's dangerous to call it a cure. Patients should remember alcoholism is a chronic condition that progresses without treatment.
Yes. That's been said for lots of diseases as long as you didn't find the right dose. If you treat pneumonia with half the dose of penicillin, you won't cure pneumonia. And here you just need to go, and what my colleagues who now treat patients with, and that's in the University of Geneva, Paris, and actually people in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and at the University of Pennsylvania, once you reach a dose, which is 93 times the dose Dr. Garbutt used, people simply lose interest in alcohol.
So how many people have now tried it, and in what percentage has it worked for them the way it did for you?
Exactly 100 patients tried it, 80% success.
80%?
80% success.
Why haven't we heard more about this if this is really, truly a breakthrough?
You will hear about it because I'm invited at the University of Pennsylvania, where it's one of the most prominent team, and they are going to do studies actually in cocaine and with also PET scans of the brain to show that baclofen erases not only craving, the feeling of craving, but it erases craving in the amygdala in the brain.
Well, I know you said that eventually they may be testing it for other things like binge eating, other kinds of binge behavior. I was very moved. You said, when asked if you had ever contemplated suicide during that long, horrible period, and you said no, you thought maybe there'd be a cure.
Yes, that's why I didn't.
And now you think you found it. For you.
For me and for already hundreds of people, for everybody who tries it so far. Every patient who's been prescribed that responds exactly like I've done.
Well, again, it's astonishing, it's extraordinary, it is not without controversy, but read an excerpt of the book. It's called I Ended My Own Addiction. It's on our website, abcnews.com.
Whatever your friend changes out there, magically updates. And here. Introducing the Pomprey with linked contacts.